Is a woman's freedom making her harder to protect, love, and lead?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah,
I
what?
ain't gonna lie. Because you got to have where certain men they don't even want a woman to have those traits of being, let's say, liberated, and you got certain women that have an over exaggeration of what it means in that sense. Like now they feel like they gotta equal out what men do, or even what men they've dealt with in the past do. So they have this over, and I don't like to say masculine energy, but like this over aggressive energy about them.
It is, but I'm gonna speak from my perspective in regards to that. Just because I think we don't understand that love in itself is freedom. And part of that love is to reign in yourself, right? So I think what happens a lot of times, and I'm gonna say just based on history and society, the way it's structured, is that men have a difficult time with learning how to operate or exercise within like freedom for a woman, because historically women were put in position, or society was set up where there wasn't a level of freedom. There were conditions set up where it made it easier for men to control the situation, right? Women depended on men because they didn't have finances in order to take care of themselves, or in order for you to even make it within society, you had to get married, right? So it made it a lot easier for men to protect and move in a certain way, because the environment was set up like that. However, now you're on the opposite end of that, where there isn't any structures that are in place to force, that situation. And I think that's where men are having difficulty with that transition. And women are also fighting against it because it looks like to them a level of control. And I think there's kind of a validity on both sides, with feeling like that. I think women are feeling like men think that in order for them to protect, that they have to control them, right? And I think on the other end of that, men are saying, I can't protect you if you don't allow me to control you. But if we're operating in operating in love, it's freedom. So I'm going to submit to you freely. It's not something you can make me do, right? So that's kind of the way that I look at that.
I think
So
there's
you
a
saying, so you saying if we're operating in love, it's freedom. If we're not operating in love, are you saying it's no control?
I don't think you have to control somebody in order to protect them. Meaning, if there's a level of trust and there is a level of vulnerability, and I'm saying I'm walking into this knowing that I'm going to give you um the trust and responsibility to protect and take care of me.
How can I protect a
That
woman if
means
I don't have control over the situation?
you control the situation. You don't necessarily control the one. Did we have this conversation before?
Well, I'm just taking the word you use.
I
We
can't.
don't. Y'all use the word control. We typically use the word lead. Somehow, y'all just don't want to use the word leadership. Y'all just want to use the word control to absolve yourself from submitting to a man,
Who is y'all?
No,
whoever it
I
applied to. The hit dog holler.
I think that's very different. Leading and controlling are two different things. And when you've experienced it, you can pretty much identify what that is.
Well, you spoke on protection, and it transitioned to the word control, but you never decide, for some reason you didn't transition to the leadership when you were speaking on protection.
You didn't hear me say about submission, and that's free and you give that freely.
You said men want to protect, or you said something along the lines that men struggle to protect a woman because they can't control her. Am I
Right,
correct?
because y'all find that to be synonymous. What I'm saying is that isn't
No, we
synonymous.
don't. We find protection and leadership to be synonymous. Protection is how the way we protect you is preventing you from doing stupid shit, or preventing you from ruining a relationship from your end. So we have to have some type of control or authority in a relationship.
So I guess y'all do
It's
use
not wrong.
control.
I don't know why y'all think it's wrong or think it's bad for a man to have some type of control. When you can go to work and work for your boss, and he can have the authority and control over you. He could tell you when and where you can clock in and clock out.
But is that what you consider leadership? That's my point.
Damn right.
Your boss don't
There's a reason behind why I'm telling you
you
not
can
to.
leave. You can leave. I've left jobs because I did not
believe you.
like
Women are
jobs.
filing at a 70% rate at initiation for divorce. We know you can leave.
Well,
We know you can leave.
that's my point. So when you guys try to use the example like, oh, you go and listen to your boss every day, there are so many people that leave their job for that very reason. But there's a totally different.
So
like,
how are you invalidating my
you've had a
comparison?
boss that when there's a boss that you've had that have great leadership skills, right? And they have this in terms of leading. They lead by example. They walk that walk, right? Their behavior shows certain things about, I trust that you know your job and I'm gonna allow you to do it. Is a lack of like micromanagement, like those kind of things. It puts you in a position to thrive, right? And when you are free to thrive, you typically want that person's input.
Your boss does not have to lead by an example. Your boss simply have to give you a list of tasks and instructions that he don't necessarily have to show you an example of how to do it. He could train you. He could have somebody train you. And he don't. He could just say, hey, look, you qualify for this position based on your skills. You know how to do this. I'm going to relegate these tasks to you. Go perform them. I don't have to lead by example. I don't got to show you. Just go and do them.
Yeah, but
there's no problem with that, right?
Yeah, but you don't want your person to be in an uncomfortable position, right? Nobody likes to be controlled. I mean, half of y'all podcasting because you don't want to go to work. You want to be able to freely get on and be flexible. Nobody wants to be stiff like anywhere, and that's even in a relationship. You don't want to be somebody's like always telling you this, and this. Now, we're not saying women should just be reckless and causing drama and pretty much leaving the whole family vulnerable because you got to protect them from themselves. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying that too much control, like you're just being overly controlling. That's toxic.
But most men aren't overly controlling. Why are we treating it like that? Like most men, even your boss don't have to micromanage you, but he does have control. Like he doesn't have most bosses don't want to have to micromanage you. Most men don't want to have to micromanage your life and say do this and do that, and then they got to come behind you every 2 seconds to make sure you're doing it right. But he should be able to, with his leadership, he should be able to tell you to do something and it gets done, and he leaves it up to you on how you need to get it done.
Well, so are you saying women don't do that? That doesn't sound
I didn't say that at all. The whole conversation was about how controlling men are. I didn't say whether women did anything or not. I'm just asking, why is it always saying is when men say that they need control or leadership, or they need somebody to be willing to follow them when it comes to their leadership, because we have to protect you, that y'all always resort to the worst common denominator, which is an overly controlling man that wants to micromanage you.
Because most men who sit there and say they want control, that most men who are leaders don't have to tell people that we automatically follow.
How do you know that?
You don't have to articulate that.
How do you know that?
Let me just tell you this. If you're telling your woman, I want to have control, there's something wrong with their relationship.
Shane, I'm sorry, but you don't know what we're telling our women. However, we are having a public discussion. It's a public discussion where we're expressing to y'all. No, wait.
Okay.
Where we're expressing to y'all what us as men, as a community, need from our women. I think we should be free to express that. I don't understand why every time we express that, you say we get this pushback as, well, most men don't have to have that conversation with their women. Yeah, but we do have to have. Go ahead.
So you want me to, you don't want to talk, I'm talking in general, most people. You're talking about people who complain on the internet. That's not most people. Okay. So when I'm talking about most people who are in flourishing relationships, they're not having these conversations controlled between their husbands, not the people. Most of my friends are married. So we're talking about in general, real life in general.
I am also talking about in general, but that's why I said most men aren't trying to control you or micromanage you. But when you said most men aren't having these conversations with their women, you're right. We're not, but we are having these conversations with y'all online.
So right, and so we're just
even the ones that don't have to have these conversations with their wives. I'm quite sure Bruiser doesn't have to always have this conversation with his wife. I'm sure Mistaken Husband doesn't have to have this conversation with her all the time. I'm sure Trev doesn't have to have this conversation with his wife all the time. I don't have to have this conversation with my wife all the time. However, when I'm speaking to y'all publicly and y'all express to us how much disdain y'all have for leadership, we have to have this conversation with y'all.
So let me clarify, because maybe you're not understanding. I, just like you, don't have a problem with the man having control. I'm Mistaken does not. I've seen her marriage. The people on this panel, just like you. So we're talking about outside. We're just assuming this outside people, the women that I know, they don't seem to have these problems. They have great men that they do not have a problem with following. So these people you're talking about, maybe we need to pull them up, meet them, and hear
they come up on this panels all the time. You hear them all the time.
Right. So
when we talk about leadership, we get pushback all the time. You're arguing with us right now.
I'm not arguing about leadership. I'm saying I follow leaders.
You're saying, why do you need to control me? I'm not like my job.
What I said. I did not say, why do you need to control me? I didn't say that.